Meeting for Tuesday, April 8th to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Schultz. Mr. Schultz will read the statement of acknowledgement in honor of indigenous and diverse communities.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We begin this meeting with acknowledgement of and honor for the many legacies that have impacted our community, particularly those buried over time. Acknowledging truth is critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. Cheltenham Township stands within the Lenape-Hokink, the ancestral homeland of the Lenni Lenape civilization. Their people were and still are caretakers of this land and its rivers, and their legacy continues. We pay respect to their elders past and present. Our community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together. As a school district committed to fostering intellectual curiosity and discourse in service of social justice, join us in uncovering such truths.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Ms. Harding will now do the roll call.
Ms. Blitzstein?
Present.
Mr. Burdell-Williams?
Present.
Mr. Epps?
Present.
Ms. Henry?
Present.
Ms. Lohman?
Present.
Ms. Mulhern?
Present.
Ms. Murphy?
Present.
Mr. Schultz?
Present.
And Dr. Whiting?
Present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call.
Thank you, Ms. Harding. Next, we will have public comments on agenda items only. If you are present in the room or online, if you're in the room, you can come up to the podium, state your name and where you reside in the district. If there's anyone online, you raise your hand and you will be unmuted. Thank you.
Before we move forward, I wanted to give a hearty welcome back to Mrs. Mia Blitzstein. Even though it's virtual at the moment, your presence is still felt. It's been a few months, but welcome back. We welcome you with open arms.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be back.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Next, we will have our school recognition. Cheltenham Elementary School will be presented by Ms. Junod.
Hello, testing. Oh, it is on. Good evening. Nice to be here. Okay. So last year, when I had the honor of doing this for the first time, I based our presentation on the pillars of the action plan. So tonight, I'm going to base them on our PBIS core values of being caring, exceptional, and safe. Last year, all of our teachers received this book. This is a school for Teacher Appreciation Week, and it's used in various ways in the school. So we're going to start off with being caring, and it is going to reference in the book that this is a community school that is always growing. Thank you, Deborah. So the Cheltenham Elementary community of teachers, paraprofessionals, specialists, PTO volunteers are caring in our engagement with our community. So several ways that we can showcase that are first, engaging community. One of the things we did this year for the first time, we had one book for all. And so every student was able to bring home the book Clementine, and we were able to read one chapter a day and had trivia and sent it home to families, and families got really engaged in it. And I almost jumped out of my seat today because we were sitting in a team meeting and one of the teachers said, I'm going to start doing novels more because of what happened with One Book for All. And whenever you get teachers excited about novels, because that was one of our core goals for next year, and they're getting ahead of the game and they're going to start using interactive notebooks with the novels. And that may sound like a small thing, but it's something that wasn't being done that is going to start from our One Book for All program. So we're excited about that. One of the things we've reached out to the community is when you hear CES, you hear caring, exceptional, and safe. And one of the things I realized going into the school is there's so much put on the empathy and the socialization. And how do we get that same buy-in for our academics? So we put this out to the community, asked them, the students first nominated a C, an E, and an S for how it would stand for academics, and we got the votes. And we are going to be kicking off our Driven Dolphin campaign that is talking about our curious, engaged scholars. We engaged the community during Heritage Week by creating a Heritage Week cookbook where our families nominated various recipes, and we sent it out to everyone. I think we're the only elementary school that has a full-on school production, and we did Finding Nemo. I was very grateful to be a part of the play. That will come up later. And we just gave Finding Nemo, and in our Friday night, it was literally standing room only where we didn't have enough chairs. So, Ms. Savage, please put chairs on the list for furniture I'd like to have more of for next year. And I really want to talk about our PTO because one of the things I realized coming in last year is that PTO had hit a lull. I think sometimes when leadership changes, and I think it never really got back to what it was after COVID, and we're really revitalizing our PTO, and they've reached out, and we had to our last town hall where we really did a call for more members. We had over 40 respond, and we're getting new energy and new life into our PTO, and we're really excited about it. And we have been doing coffee jams with Miss Shay, where we listen to music and we drink coffee and we have croissants and we talk about just each month we have a different topic that any community member can drop in at any time. It's kind of like an open house that we've been doing. And this gentleman, this very handsome, charismatic gentleman, looks very familiar. Mr. Epps. This was at our Black History Month showcase, and one of our classes, they did a trivia presentation, and we got the community involved, and we got parents involved, and our very shy Mr. Epps who was there as dad, got engaged and took some selfies, and it was a real highlight of the show. Okay, so for number 2, the second part of our presentation, we are going to focus on us being a community that is together. The Cheltenham Elementary community of teachers, paraprofessionals, specialists, PTO volunteers are exceptional for always going the extra mile. So these are just some of the events that we have. I probably have, I think, 14 different flyers, but our Tech Discovery Night is tomorrow night. On Thursday night, so it's going to be late nights this week, we have our 4th grade concert, and we did our Rock Our Socks Day a few weeks ago. We have various projects. Every grade focuses on one project. The kindergartners do writing, math, reading, and science around leprechauns for St. Patrick's Day, and they create their own leprechaun traps, and they try to trap them, and it's really cute. So the first grade does something around 101 Dalmatians Day. So every grade level has a different project that they do. Various clubs, as all school have, we have great clubs, but I really wanted to highlight our Positive Start Club. Miss Higgins does this, and she invites every single class over the course of the year, and they get to come in for a special project for a certain week, and it's always something just really fun just to get their mindset going for their Positive Start, and they have it from 8 to 8:30 in the morning. And it might sound like a small thing, but when I first got there, only one grade level was taking a field trip. And now, as starting this year, every grade is taking a trip. Because, if you don't get that experience of going to Wawa and getting your Lunchable and getting all those best things for the trip, what is going to school really about? So it is very important to us that every grade level gets to have a trip. And last but not least, the third focus from our book is... We are Cheltenham Elementary. This is a community transforming. The Cheltenham Elementary community of teachers, paraprofessionals, specialists, PTO volunteers are safe, focused on the emotional and physical well-being of students as the first priority. So we really had a big initiative around SEL this year, and we are working on our Take 5. So this is just a few pictures of our fourth grade students who, rather than putting up pre-printed posters, they created posters, and we're just about to laminate them, and they're going to go around the school. And we had, rather than using pre-populated videos, we made our own video. If we're able to showcase, we have several of them. This is one. That's the highest volume? Well, basically, they introduce themselves and they showcase how to do you got it.
Slide up each finger slowly and slide down the other side. Step 4.
Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you.
We are going to practice Take 5 breathing to calm our minds and bodies. My name is Cohen.
My name is Anthony.
My name is Violet.
My name is Aubrey. Step 1, stretch your hand out like a star. Step 2, get the pointer finger of your other hand ready to trace your finger up and down. Step 3, slide up each finger slowly and slide down the other side. Step 4, breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. Step 5, breathe in as you slide up and breathe out as you slide down. Keep going until you have finished tracing your whole hand. Let's practice.
Who are we? CES.
Karen, exceptional, and C.
So one of the reasons we really wanted to adopt this is because we look at the quote that never in the history of calming down has anyone calmed down by being told to calm down. So we know a lot of our times as staff members, as students, when those emotions are high, if you try to verbally, what's going on, what's happening, I need you to calm down, you can't in that moment. By using this nonverbal signal, it's really been great. And we've even had parents saying, I'm sitting at the dinner table and they're putting their hand up to me, and I might get in trouble for that one. But this has been a real a boost to our SEL program. Another boost has been, everybody was doing something different with morning meetings, so we aligned our morning meeting for the entire school, and this was kind of our CSI project. So every Monday, our counselor puts out a Mindfulness Monday video that she shows, and then depending on what day of the week, on Thursdays, is Think About It Thursday. Everything different. There's always a book that is read aloud each week, and then there's also additional videos, and everybody is starting the day the same way. And what's beautiful about this is this was all created by staff members. This isn't something that we just found online, and we're always building those resources. And we are using, one of the things we did this year is we switched our recess to come first and our lunch to come second, and that has proved to be a big boost for us. And one of the things we're also doing, and you can see where it has the breathing video, every day there is a different decompression video that everybody does after lunch, before they're getting ready for learning. And at CES, we love to embarrass me, the principal. So that lovely outfit is from the school play. And as you can see on the far left is when I'm getting silly string. So if through PBIS you make the Principal 100 Club, and there's about 25 students at that table, and we usually do 2 to 3 a month. I read the book with them. We talk about the things that make the school exciting. And then we go outside, we eat Airheads, we play on the recess yard, and they silly string me. And it is definitely a fan favorite. And last but not least, our beautiful artwork from Miss Pellish White. Energy, joy, enthusiasm, and creativity abound at Cheltenham Elementary School. This year, we have learned so much about our world, artists, cultural celebrations, drawing, painting, collage, and weaving. Beginning in kindergarten, we use shapes and lines to draw self-portraits, aquatic life, kites, and more. We have so much fun painting and using fabric to create the tails on our kites. First and second graders learned about artists including Henri Matisse, Piet Mondrian, and traditional Kent cloth artist. Third and fourth graders learned some three-dimensional drawing skills with our box drawings, celebrated the new year with our oil pastels, brushed up on our tree drawing skills, painted with watercolors, learned about Lunar New Year celebrations with our cut paper snake designs, and made incredible yarn weaving collages. Ideas became reality with this hard work. Thank you for taking the time to look at our CES art show. Thank you.
Ms. Junod. Thank you for that great presentation. Zoe. We will have the Cheltenham Students Council report by Ms. Zoe.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Zuri Bent, the Cheltenham Student Council met on Friday, April 4th. I will now read out the updates. Our applications for upcoming student council members have been sent out to students. The election begins on April 24th, and all position winners will be announced May 2nd. We will have a thrift sale April 31st to May 1st during school, and then May 2nd after school. After school date may change. Our charity committee will also be having a blood drive on May 1st. That concludes my report. I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Diazio will provide the update on sunshine announcements.
Thank you. The board has not met in executive session since the last public meeting, so there are no executive sessions to announce tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. For the superintendent's report, he has yielded his time so that our students can present a survey finding for us presentation.
So I'd like to just take this opportunity to introduce to you some of our student ambassadors. Our student ambassadors have been working for the last 5 years at the high school level. Tonight, under the leadership of Ms. Carmina Teller and Dr. Collins, we have 6 of our student ambassadors with us. And I'm not sure, Dr. Collins, the order. I know you have an order, but I want to just say in line in terms of the first row, we have Carson, Helen, Noel, Layla, Jayla, and Noah. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Collins, and I thank you guys for taking time to be with us this evening.
I'd like to say good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Curtis Collins, and it is a pleasure and an honor to serve as the vice principal at Cheltenham High School. So without further ado, I want to be able to amplify the voices of our students. It's really about our kids, and I am honored to really guide them in this leadership role of just really magnifying their voice to bring about imminent change. So without further ado, I'd like to present and have Noah come on up.
Good evening, board members. Today, we are here to present our findings from a survey that we conducted where, could you go next slide, please? Oh, that's a picture. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Basically, we're here to identify the areas for improvement by administering the equity and student belonging survey, from the student belonging survey, excuse me. So for the past 4 months or so, we have been going over the data that was collected from a Penn survey, and it was called the belonging survey, where students would, from 1 to 5, they would go off and list the sense of belonging in certain areas. So 1 being never, 2 being somewhat likely, 3 being maybe, 4 being very likely, and 5 being always. So through this data, we found trends in how students feel throughout the school and in their learning environments. Our why is to create an inclusive environment that enhances student well-being and academic success. Our school is very big and is diverse as well. And a big problem that we have is that our students, while they're having fun, they're not really using the time wisely to actually learn as well. So through this data, we're going to find trends in how they feel with their teachers, how they feel in their environment, and we're going to find spaces for them to incorporate their school life as well as their social life. Our mission is to foster through an education of exceptional quality the intellect, culture, and individuality of every student who passes through its door. Just like I previously stated, our school is insanely diverse. We have so many people from different backgrounds and different groups, and bringing together every group of students through intellect levels and even like extracurricular activities, cultures, we have to bring them together so they can have a nice community to learn and to grow in. So the agenda for today, we're going to go over the demographics, identify the demographics that statistically stood out in the survey. We're going to look at trends from low to high about what we saw in the data. Our why, we're going to brainstorm reasons that would cause lower scores in the PSSM, which is the Psychological School Sense and Membership Survey. And we're going to plan to address those issues with the data that we found. So overall, after we go over these different data groups, we'll find solutions and come up with solutions that will improve our community as a whole. And now I'll give it over to Helen for the survey highlights.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm here to talk about the data that we collected from our survey. So here are some of the highlights that we found. So there were 3 subgroups of concern that we identified throughout our survey, meaning that when we looked at all of our data that we have, they have the lowest scores, which means that they have the lowest sense of belonging. And those groups are the 9th graders, people who identify as transgender, and people within the LGBTQ community. So starting with the latter, we see spring 2023 was the first year that we had the real broken down numbers for each group. And the areas of concern with our first year of that survey were people who don't know their personal identification. And we see that's the lowest with a 3.22. And again, keep in mind, this is on a 5.0 scale, so that is a considerably lower number, especially compared to the other groups. And we see that decline in our second year when we look at the fall 2023 data, when it goes down to a 3.15. Now, looking at the year after that, which was this past fall, we see their number does go up to a 3.33. And this past fall, the data that really stood out to us was people who prefer not to answer. So maybe these people don't feel comfortable, they're not sure of their own identities, and theirs is extremely low at a 3.19. And if you look at their data before that, they were never like the lowest scores, but they have been significantly declining. And a reason for that could be we see the frequency on the side of this past year is very low for that group. So we feel as though from talking to the GSA, which is the Gay Straight Alliance Club at our high school, we feel as though we have created a better environment for people to feel comfortable, like expressing themselves and really feeling comfortable to be who they are. But these people who maybe aren't sure of their own identities themselves, their sense of belonging has significantly declined, which is a problem that we have identified within our data. All right, so for our next set of data is our gender. So I just want to go over some terms for this category. So when the survey says gender nonconforming, this is people whose behavior or appearance doesn't conform to prevailing cultural and societal or social expectations. Transgender people are people who identify as the opposite of their assigned sex. And different identity is people who don't use any of the other gender identity options provided. So as we can see in the spring 2023 data, the lowest and most concerning numbers were people who identify as gender nonconforming and transgender males. Now going to the next year, we see that gender nonconforming slightly increases, but it is still one of the lower numbers on the table. And we see that transgender males significantly decline to a 2.79, which is very low compared to all of the rest of the data. Now, if we look at this past year from fall 2024, we see that gender nonconforming has gone up significantly to a 4 or a 3.42. But transgender females and transgender males have significantly declined to a 2.78 and a 2.8, respectively. And we can see on the side, the frequency is very low, which means that not a lot of people identify within these groups. But that doesn't really matter to us because we still feel that every student as an individual should I mean, the goal is for everybody to be at a 5 and for everybody to feel that as though they belong within our community so that they can thrive and really grow in their education. So now I'm going to pass it to Carson.
So this is the 2021 to 2024 grade levels, and as we can see, there's a significant dip in grade 10 and grade 11 in both the years of 2022 and 23. So there's a consistent trend with wavering mean PSSM scores that we have to find a way to clearly nail down and, you know, make it so that by year to year we're not going down in certain categories and going up in others, but overall improving our grade belonging score. So this is this is by grade, but as we can see, the mean lowest score is 9th graders, but they also have the highest frequency, which means that they want to be involved. They want to do something in the school. They just don't feel like they can. They don't feel welcomed or involved, and we have to find a way to capitalize on their ability to, you know, help us out. Because me personally, as a senior, I spent the year trying to rally up people to come into blue and gold, and it's hard because they don't feel like they're welcomed or they don't feel like their ideas are valid. And then when we break it down by gender, we're able to see that transgender female and transgender male do have the lowest scores by a massive margin. And yes, the frequency is lower at a 5 or a 6, which means that one person can affect the score more. But it's the fact that out of those 5 and 6 people, their scores are extremely low. And even though it's not a massive majority, it still matters that everyone in our school feels accepted and not, I don't want to say embarrassed, but they should be able to be themselves. And then this is by LGBTQ identification. We can see that those who prefer not to answer or are closeted have the lowest score, and those who actually do identify with our LGBTQ community have the second lowest score, which is, I mean, that hurts my heart personally, because people who already have no one to go to, whether it's family, friends, close relatives, they have lower scores than anyone else, and that's just not okay. I'm going to briefly pass it off to Layla to do the word cloud, and then I'll be back for the summary.
So in our survey, students were asked to answer with one word that best represented them and their sense of belonging in school and how we can improve that. So the bigger words are the words that were the most popular. So as you can see, need, work, time, listen, talk, person, sometimes, and break were some of the biggest words. So that means they were the most popular among students.
Okay, and to break down the summary of our findings, grade, gender, and sexual orientation have a role in determining PSSM scores. 9th graders, females, and people who identify with our LGBTQ plus community have significantly lower scores than any other categories, and certain students feel they need more time for their work in order to feel supported.
Hi, I'm Noelle. I'm Jayla. You can start. Okay. So here, what we have here is essentially like a timeline of the, solutions that we have found as student ambassadors. So first, we had 2 focus groups. Dr. Callens arranged a meeting with our school's Gay Straight Alliance Club, where we went over essentially the issues that they felt prevailed in our school community. And a lot of the students in that club, they said that they didn't feel a sense of belonging. They felt, like outsiders. Some commented on how they, were being harassed in some points, and we felt that meeting with that group really got us that information that we needed firsthand. We had to connect with that, group of people to really understand what we were dealing with and how we would move forward from that.
From that meeting, the GSA met with Dr. Hammond and Ms. Savage in order to further explain their feelings and their thoughts. Although that we heard their troubles and how the specific examples went, it was also important to them that they were able to tell people themselves how they felt and their specific experiences that they went through.
Third, the GSA group met with CHS faculty, and they face-to-face, they met with the faculty and they had a discussion. They talked about the issues in their school and how they felt like teachers were able to build off of those issues, and really create a more safe school and educational environment for those people, especially in the LGBTQ community.
It was important for us to foster a space where they felt like they were able to speak out about all the things that they were going through. Although the first step was hearing for ourselves what they were going through, then the next step was talking to our administration, then furthermore they were talking to our staff. So we wanted to make sure that we supported them in that journey. As well as our student ambassadors met and collaborated with Dr. Scriven and Dr. Hammond presenting this presentation as well.
Yes. So during that meeting, we essentially went over everything we're sharing with you today. We touched on a few other subjects, actually, outside. We shared our experiences as students, as student ambassadors in the school, and we found that a lot of the problems that we have found, like in this presentation, they may stem from the teachers themselves, or that may be one aspect of what we're dealing with. So we decided that teachers, we had to take a closer look, sort of, at teachers and how they were affecting our students, and, you know, during education, like, we had to figure out how the teachers played a role in these issues as well during that meeting.
Next slide, please.
Oh, and then meeting the school board, which is today.
In the future, near future, we will be meeting with the faculty to host and facilitate a professional development meeting so that we could help them further understand our feelings as students and what we heard from the GSA as well. This is kind of to give them a perspective of how we're feeling and how, not that they may be a part of the problem, but more how they could help. So we don't want to focus on the things that have already been done that are negative, but we want to think about improving, and instead thinking about what can we do to do better, not that you're already doing wrong, but instead that there's always room for improvement.
Yes. After that, we hope to talk at a small town hall meeting next year, 2025 to 2026 school year. We hope to reach out to not only the faculty but the community as well, because they need to understand these issues in our school, and they need to be a part of this whole process. We feel that reaching out to the community will definitely have a more substantial effect on, hopefully, the solutions and how they prosper in the future. And we just feel that that would definitely be something that will help us improve these issues.
To improve our day-to-day infrastructure in our school, we would like to provide mental health resources and safe spaces in our school so that although the students already have their clubs that they are in where they're able to talk out their feelings, that's not enough because they're just talking amongst themselves. Instead of talking amongst themselves, you can actually talk outward to everybody else to educate, teach, and help people understand why you're feeling the way you do. Because if you're only talking amongst yourself, you're bottling it in. You're not helping other people understand where you're coming from. So in order to do that, we hope to improve and encourage mental health resources and spaces so that people can have those conversations that may be uncomfortable but are 100% needed.
Yes, and also, since the ninth graders were one of our groups that we found were getting lower scores than all the other groups, we decided that hosting and showcasing quarterly ninth grade clubs and activity fairs would maybe be something to help improve the ninth graders and help them feel more included in the Cheltenham High School community. Because, you know, ninth graders, they're new to the school, it's a new environment, new people, and it can sometimes be scary. And to really help alleviate the sense of community, definitely uplifting them and showing their their achievements to the community and the other people, other students and staff in the school is definitely a way that we can warm them up to the school and make them feel more comfortable in the school. Yes. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Next slide, please.
Thank you.
And we are going to end our presentation with a quote from another student ambassador, Lev Suker, but he's not here today. The quote reads, "You can't change the past or see the future, but you can change the future by looking at the past." Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Scriven has been talking about his student ambassador group since you all formed. And with such high regard and how brilliant you all are, and just thoughtful and insightful in the work you do, and now we got a chance to see it firsthand. I commend you all, and thank you so much for sharing this information. I know some other board members wanted to.
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation as well, and also that we were able to look at trends. One of the other times we looked at this data, there were certain questions like, do students feel their teachers notice that they've done something well or they've done something good in school? And that's something that stuck with me because the numbers were very low. And so a lot of students, and that's just a very basic thing that can happen on every day, somebody doing something that is noticeable. And so if those things aren't happening, then we don't have a good chance of things like deeper learning and student-centered environments and the use of AI in classrooms. And so we're having all of these big system-level conversations, and we're hearing tonight that it's the everyday things that need to shift in order for those big things to even be possible. And so I appreciate, and looking at trend line data helps us do that. And so I appreciate that you all were able to bring that to our body tonight, and also how you are rethinking how to build culture. As someone who, I don't bring my personal life to this space too much, but as someone who's on my own journey around identity, you know, our culture, we say this is a republic that stands for all and liberty and justice for all, but we know that is not the reality. And so it's tough, but you all are really thinking about how we can do things differently. And I would encourage you all to continue doing that, not based on how things are today, but literally based on your imaginations and what people are saying, what they need, and what their everyday lives are telling us. And so I'm encouraged by the work that you all are doing in places like Abington. They just added a non-voting student member to their board, and you all are showing why things like that should happen in other places as well. So I won't go too much further. I do have a question as we go forward. For us as a board, I think when we look at some of those solutions, we can certainly provide approval and urgency around funding for the mental health resources and safe spaces. And so as you all continue to come back, it's one thing to have a seat at the table. What you do with that seat, you know, make your request very known, as well as us to the school board, very specific. And as one person on this body, I will do everything that I can to make sure that we're providing the resources that students are asking for. So I'll pause there, and thank you again.
Dr. Whiting?
Thank you, Madam President. I work in educational evaluation and organizational development in my day job, and my researchers don't present information as well as you just did, and that was phenomenal. I am so impressed at the knowledge translation that you guys did for that work. The presentation was great. It was really clear. It was highlighted effectively, and you communicated solutions, which is something that data is often missed in data. So you've already taken it past, we've got information, what are we going to do with that? That's really important in this type of work. Our mission is to belong, engage, and seek justice here. You're addressing the belonging part, and I really view that as a pyramid. Belong is on the bottom. If we can't belong, we can't engage, we can't seek justice. And so addressing that very bottom layer, making sure everybody has a space, everybody has a voice and is included, is critical, and I'm so grateful to you for doing that work. It will keep us engaged and pointed in the right direction as we make policy and budget decisions moving forward. So thank you for your work. It's really phenomenal.
Mr. Bedell Williams?
Yep. First and second to the comments from both my colleagues. I think they're very, very strong, but also definitely reflect on you guys and your abilities and where you are just at this point, right? I heard that there was a couple sophomores, mostly sophomores. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? That's a lot for your age. It's very, I guess, admirable. Thinking about myself as a 10th grader, I wouldn't envision that I would be in this seat, but looking at you all as 10th graders, and the seniors even, there's a huge future ahead of you. The one comment that I did want to share is just related to what is happening in this school district in general, right? We've heard about continuous improvement at the school level and at the district level. And what you all are showing now, to Mr. Epps' point, is that happens at all levels, right? That's not just driven by the board or by the state or by administration, right? It's also driven by the student body as well, right? Because you all, have your own stake in it, and that stake, to me as one board member, is the most important stake, right? I wish many of you could actually vote for us, and it's not just the parents and the folks who are over 18, because you guys are the ultimate stakeholders at the end of the day, right? And so again, very grateful for what you're doing and the continuous improvement mindset that you have, right? Don't accept things as they are, know that they can change. Presenting it in this way to folks who are decision makers and can help facilitate that change is one way to do it, but sharing directly with the individuals in an empathetic and compassionate way that I'm sure you plan to do with your professional development experience with the teachers, it's very encouraging, and I'm really excited for what the results of that will be, not just for you all, but for the school community as well. So thank you, kudos, looking forward to next steps. And as one board member, I'll just second what Mr. Epps said. This, make your, this is a strong comment that we hear around the board a lot, right? Make the implicit explicit, right? So things that you need of us, please don't be shy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we want to give them a chance to talk about stuff? Okay. All right. Go ahead. Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. I just wanted to underscore an additional way that we can be supportive, and that is through policy. And so the board's function is overseeing the superintendent, passing a budget, and making decisions about policy. So please, as you are having your town halls and you're talking with your peers, when you identify policies in this district that are possibly even part of the problems, please bring them to our attention so we can reflect and do better. I'll also just say that student voice is the most pure voice in this room consistently when we're making decisions that affect you, which is pretty often. Having even if it's just an email, even if you can't take time out of your day to come sit in a very boring, long board meeting, they're very exciting, I'm just kidding. If you can just send us an email, schoolboard@cheltenham.org, we will read that and we will be able to know where you or the people you are representing stand on a given issue. So I just wanted to put that out there. And second, everything my colleagues have said about how excellent that presentation was. Thank you for your work, and thank you for embodying the vision of this district.
Dr. Scriven is going to take a picture with you all now.
Forget my reports. Yes, just do that.
Thank you.
There you go. Seriously. Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. I didn't get the permission. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm Hampton. I'm Helen's mom. It's great to meet you. She thinks you're awesome too. I want to appreciate you so much.
And my daughter plays flag.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Thank you so much. I'm Helen's dad. Hey, Tim. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for.
One more year.
All right, we will move through the agenda, starting with the committee reports. Mr. Schultz will provide the financial affairs report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Financial Affairs Committee met on April 1st in the Administration Building with a hybrid Zoom option. Following roll call and approval of minutes, the board was presented with interim financial statements, and we then received a preliminary audit update, which went over several of our funds. Normally, our budgeting discussions are around our general fund, so this was an opportunity to learn more about smaller funds in the district that often have more specific purposes, such as the Food Services Fund, as an example. We were then presented with 3 legislative agenda topics, which are on tonight's agenda, including a contract with LifeTouch, which is school photos, contracts for our propane buses, the propane fuel, and then contracted service for tax parcel evaluation. Our next meeting will be held on May 5th, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Educational Affairs report will be provided by Dr. Whiting.
Thank you, Madam President. The Educational Affairs Committee met on March 18th at 7 p.m. in a hybrid format in the Administration Building and via Zoom. The meeting was led by Ms. Collins and Ms. Keene, who presented on our Flexible Instruction Days application, the elementary school report card rollout, and an update on the services the district offers to support students' social, emotional, and mental well-being. The Flexible Instruction Days application is due in April and is currently in progress. Approval of the application will result in a 3-year approval for the use of up to 5 flexible instruction days per year at the discretion of the superintendent and typically for inclement weather. The team also reported on the redesign of the elementary school report cards, which is in progress and slated for launch in the 2026-2027 school year. Ms. Keene and Ms. Collins also reported on student services, which include addressing students' academic, career, and social and emotional development, and providing prevention and intervention programming to meet the holistic needs of our students. Our district offers social workers, mental health and wellness counselors, counselors from Lakeside Counseling, crisis interventionists, clinical support at Elkins Park School, clinical and family-focused school-based outpatient clinic, counseling at EPIC, the We Are Hope program at EPIC, and drug and alcohol counselors at Cheltenham High School. There was also an acknowledgement of community partnerships, including Cradles to Crayons, Glenside Rotary Club, Champions for Cheltenham, Grace Presbyterian Church, Calvary Presbyterian Church, Jenkintown Knitting Club, the Visiting Nurses Association, Towers at Wyncote, and the Rydal Retirement Community. There has been a recent focus on identifying the specific social, emotional, and mental well-being needs of students, and an increase in Tier 2 small group supports being provided to students within schools. The district plans to continue to grow social, emotional, and mental well-being offerings to remove barriers for learning and engagement across our schools. The next Educational Affairs Committee meeting will be held at 7 p.m. on April 22nd, 2025, in a hybrid format on Zoom and in person here at the Administration Building. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Whiting. Mr. Burdell Williams will provide the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Eastern Center for Arts and Technology met in person on March 12th. As a standard part of the Eastern agenda, the first order of business was to approve the March Student of the Month. The Student of the Month for the month of March was Skylar Childs, who is an Upper Moreland High School senior, who was recognized for their outstanding work in Eastern's Robotics and Automated Technology program. Skylar thrives, just a few words about Skylar. Skylar thrives academically, both at Upper Moreland and at Eastern. This year, Skylar was selected as one of 3 students at Eastern for the prestigious CTE Presidential Scholar Award. He is a member of Eastern's National Technical Honor Society and serves as the Robotics and Automated Technology class representative for Skills USA. Skylar also has earned several industry standard certifications in his field, including OSHA and Universal Robots certification. One item of note is that Skylar is currently designing a donation robot for the Glencairn Museum. And it hasn't been completed yet, but it's like a 8-foot tall, looks like a knight in shining armor. That's very fitting for that museum if you're familiar, and will in some way be an automated, have an automated request of donations for folks as they enter the museum. So very cool and very awesome. A second note for Skylar is that Skylar's brother was previously an Eastern Student of the Month in 2022. So a lot of competition at the household leading up until now, and it came out during the meeting. Some other important but maybe not as exciting things that were approved at the Joint Operating Committee was the school calendar for the 25-26 school year, as well as the memorandum of understanding with the Upper Moreland Police Department, which is renewed on a 2-year basis. Another important piece of information that I want to share with the community and with this board is that one of the items that was approved as a part of the policy portion of the agenda was Eastern's new their reflection or their acknowledgement, of the indigenous people. So very nearly identical to every word from Cheltenham's own acknowledgement. That's not done by mistake. So that was a recommendation made by myself in order to continue to push the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, as well as the eastern part of Montgomery County, to continue to acknowledge the indigenous peoples and their history here in this part of the world. So very excited that is now a standing part of the agenda for the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. I want to thank Mr. Epps and the folks on this board for their work to be able to bring it here and then allow the opportunity for that energy to then spread to other parts of the community and affect, at this point, 9 sending districts of Eastern Montgomery County. The next meeting for the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology is scheduled for tomorrow, April 9th at 8 p.m. in hybrid format. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Ms. Loman will provide the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Report.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board met on Wednesday, March 26th at 6:45 p.m. in person at the MCIU's main offices in Norristown and over Zoom. Prior to the public meeting, an executive session was held to discuss personnel matters. One thing that I wanted to note in this report that I didn't previously because I wasn't able to attend the most recent IU meetings was that Dr. Bradley Landis is retiring as the IU's Assistant Executive Director, and Sandy Edling, who some of us know, has been named Deputy Executive Director of the MCIU. She will retain her CFO title for the time being, and during the MCIU meeting on March 26th, the board approved the hiring of Zachary Trump, no relation, that's apparently what he wanted people to know, as Director of Business Services to fill the position Ms. Edling has vacated. Highlights from the meeting include a presentation by Joe Walsh, who's the program administrator for the Pathways to Empowerment program, which is a new program that the IU started offering this year for students who have been expelled from school or assigned to a 45-day placement for disciplinary reasons. The program provides intensive emotional support for regular and special education students in grades 9 through 12. These generally were kids who were kind of just at home because they didn't have a placement to go to, and they were either doing virtual school or maybe some homebound instruction. And so the IU created this program at the request of several school district superintendents. If I could go into greater detail on the program, but just suffice it to say that the IU is looking to grow the program from 10 students currently to 30 students within the next couple of years. The program currently costs sending districts $58,000 per student. So the IU is also looking for ways that district may be able to tap into some state Cordero funds, which I can definitely tell you about, but I won't go into the history of what that is. But this is a very, very highly mental health intensive program also, which is why it's so expensive. So there'll be more, I think, about this program in months and years to come, but the IU is really just sort of rolling it out this year. A couple other things that the board did at the meeting. We approved the 2025-2028 comprehensive plan created by the IU, which is up on the IU's website. Dr. Landis provided a legislative update, and the board ended up having a rather lengthy discussion about the executive order from the President of the United States to dismantle the Department of Education. The MCIU has started gathering federal funding data from school district business managers in the districts that the IU serves. The IU is starting to think about how they can earn revenue for many of their federally funded programs in non-traditional ways. The IU currently has one very large federal grant to provide mental health services through their Project Aware program. But they also receive federal funding, obviously, for students with disabilities, young students with disabilities. They run Head Start programs. So there's a lot of federal funding that flows through the intermediate unit. A couple of other things that were considered, several contracts, agreements with school districts, tech agreements. The board approved an agreement with Special Olympics of Pennsylvania to support interscholastic unified sports programs. 427 high school teams participated in unified bocce this year in Pennsylvania. So that's pretty cool. The other thing where there are a lot of upcoming events being sponsored by the MCIU. On April 25th will be the MCIU's legislative breakfast, which will be held at the MCIU's main offices at 8 a.m. On May 6th, there's a free neuropsychology of mathematics and written language disorders that the MCIU is offering at their main offices. There's a lot going on May 20th. The third Steels Expo for the science standards will be held at Upper Marion High School on the 20th. Also on the 20th is a mental health resource fair at the IU's offices, a grief counseling series, and the youth suicide risk series as well, all at the MCIU's offices on the 20th. The next MCIU board meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. in person at the IU's main office at 2 West Lafayette Street in Norristown, and also over Zoom. This is my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Ms. Mulhern will provide the facilities update.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, April 1st in a hybrid format, and after a roll call and approval of the March minutes, we received a presentation from Mr. Swiger. The first half of the presentation included an overview of projects completed around the district over the past month, including Glenside cooling tower repairs at the track at Cedarbrook Middle School, and a CHS boiler pipe was replaced, as well as some asphalt patching that was completed in the parking lot at the high school. Next, we received updates on Cheltenham's current projects in our long-range capital plan. The CHS Stadium project is in its final planning stages before work begins in June, including completing contracts and on-site meetings this week. The CHS partial roof replacement is also on track to occur this summer, with the contractor on site this week to take drone footage of the roof, the part of the roof that's being repaired. And then the land development processes have begun for both the Glenside Elementary addition and the Cedar Brook addition. The Facilities Committee meeting will meet in person and virtually on Tuesday, May 6th at 7 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. I'm sorry, Ms. Mulhern. And next you're up for the liaison group.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Henry. The liaison group met on Monday, March 17th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Items discussed include the following: school district updates on continued plans for the Elkins Park school closure, including meeting with various impacted parent organizations, teachers and staff, and also the continued use of gymnasium space during the year. Traffic calming plans for all 4 elementary schools to be completed this year. Channel 42, the cable channel that both the township and the school district have utilized, will be ceasing operations due to out-of-date platforms. A discussion of traffic and potential traffic studies around the 4 elementary schools as they expand to have 5th grade students as well. An overview and timeline for the expansion of Glenside Elementary, an update on bridge projects and other road closures throughout the township in the coming months and year. School district partnerships with the Cheltenham Township Library System, SPS fire updates, its impacts on the community, and a thank you to the district for utilizing the high school as a Red Cross emergency place, and potential collaboration for Pride events in June. The liaison group will meet at a to-be-determined date later this spring, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. Now, Ms. Lohman will provide the policy committee update.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Policy Committee met on Tuesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. at the Administration Building and over Zoom. There were a total of 15 participants in attendance, both in person on Zoom, 6 board members, 5 administrators, 4 community members, and the CSD solicitor. 17 policies were reviewed at the meeting, and 8 policies are being presented tonight for adoption and 7 for first read. 2 policies are being held over until a later meeting. A summary of the meeting and the video recording will be posted on the district's website. The Policy Committee also reviewed the corresponding administrative regulations governing the implementation of these policies, but those ARs, as they are known, are not subject to school board approval. The 8 second read policies for adoption are number 916, volunteers. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them that were discussed and we had community members come and talk about. Volunteers is one of them. We've looked at a part of this policy for a while, which requires TB testing in order for people to volunteer. Language has been added to the administrative regulation for this policy, which clarifies when and how often a TB test is required. The administrative regulation now specifically states that TB testing is only required once for people who would have direct contact with students 10 hours per week or more, which includes volunteers on overnight events. Related to this, Dr. Savage's office is working on making sure volunteer information is updated and consistent across the district's websites and various web pages and other publications. This has been an area which has been under consideration for a while, so it's good that we have some clarity on this now. Couple of other of the 8 that I just wanted to highlight are number 237, student use of personal electronic devices. This is a policy that keeps kind of coming up, and it'll probably continue to come up. There's really just some minor language cleanup to the policy that the board is being asked to approve tonight, and the AR is similar cleanup language. The policy states that electronic devices are permitted in all of the buildings owned by the district on school grounds, in school vehicles, and or while participating in school-sponsored activities on or off school premises. There's some additional language that was added, though, which says the district administration shall have the right to regulate the use of such electronic devices in accordance with applicable law, and it also details what the administration could do with the rules and conditions upon which students may possess and use electronic devices. The other kind of area that was discussed was the administrative regulation, which currently gives building administrators the authority to regulate the use of personal electronic devices in their buildings. There's a language addition to the AR which would specify that this authority includes the authority to require storage or safekeeping of such electronic devices. So that was discussed. The policy was presented for review, again, because several community members had concerns about students at the high school in particular using cell phones during the school day, particularly during instructional time. There were 2 community members, 2 parents who spoke about their concerns that they would like the policy to be revised to prohibit the use of electronic devices during class time and consider requiring like a phone locker system or something like that to be used during classroom time. Again, like I said, I think that this will probably continue to come up and be considered, but what you're being asked to approve right now are just relatively minor wording changes actually to the policy as it is. And then the other policy that I wanted to highlight was number 304, employee resignations. For anybody who's out there watching this board meeting, we will now have a policy that's very clear, that's in line with the law, that says once an employee submits their resignation and that resignation has been received by the administration and accepted by the administration, they cannot undo their resignation once that occurs. So I just wanted to point that out as well. The 7 first read policies there's a group of them that are about tobacco and controlled substance and vaping use, both by students and by faculty and staff, that really just try to clarify that vaping and vaping products are all considered and contemplated within all of these policies, and there's some more specificity about that in the policies. The 2 policies I wanted to mention specifically are the number 903, public participation in board meetings. If you weren't at the policy committee and you're on the board, you probably want to go back and take a look at this one. The policy title is actually going to be changed to policy public comment in board meetings. The current policy would be struck in its entirety and new language would be adopted for this new policy. One of the more significant changes in the policy would reduce the amount of public comment time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes per person. It should also be noted, of course, that the policy applies to all board meetings, including committee meetings. So we had a fair amount of discussion about this policy. And since it's just first read, it'll be coming back around again, obviously, at the next policy committee meeting. But I wanted to make sure that it was on everyone's radar as to what was going on with that policy. The other policy that I just wanted to note was a new policy number 832, opioid antagonist, which essentially would codify the district's already current practice of stocking doses of Narcan to use in emergencies, overdose emergencies. There were 2 policies that I mentioned that were tabled: policy 109, school library materials, and policy in AR 815, responsible use of artificial intelligence in education. The school library materials is not a new policy. The artificial intelligence policy and AR would be new policy in AR. Those have been deferred for consideration to the next policy committee agenda. Just as a reminder to the public, all active board policies and ARs can be found on Board Docs, which is accessible by going to the district's website, clicking on School Board tab, and then clicking on Board Docs under School Board. The next hybrid policy committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. in room 102 of the administration building and over Zoom, and it will be combined with the Educational Affairs Committee meeting. This ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Mr. Epps will provide the legislative update.
Thank you. And just to add, as co-chair of the policy committee meeting, we had a lot of community engagement in facilities over the last year. So the policy committee, I think we're coming for your record, So parents, keep coming, keep coming. Like as Ms. Lohman said, we've had comments around our volunteer policy, our cell phone use, and even policies that aren't on our agendas. So if anyone is interested in any of the rules, please do come out to our policy committee meetings. So thank you, Ms. Lohman. I will continue my remarks around the Montgomery County Legislative committee that I am a member of, and essentially each school district within Montgomery County, similar to the MCIU board that Ms. Lohman represents us on. We all gather together to talk about legislative issues that impact our county and Commonwealth as well. And so it is good to come back with some actual legislative reports. I know the last few times it's been budget season and other things, but there is some action happening at the committee level. Some things to monitor. In addition, there are still budget negotiations happening, and thanks to our business manager and business team for the diligence they show in tracking that process and reporting it in the Financial Affairs Committee. But there are some topics around cyber charter school reform specifically that are under discussion. Everything from a moratorium on all new cyber charter applications to tuition for cyber charters, and a couple topics in between. There are a couple of bills right now that would not quite provide funding for some of these ideas, but essentially known as some unfunded mandates that are being proposed. One is around having each high school having a transition coordinator, something we might already do through our counselors, which I assume, but a piece of legislation that would require a transition coordinator in every school. Financial information sent to communities once a year, and I think our business manager has some practices from a previous district doing that in some ways. So those are some of the ideas that are being talked about in terms of different rules for how a school district must operate. And the biggest topic that we are looking forward to hear again over the next month or so is around school funding. As you heard a little earlier, there is a legislative breakfast for school board members, but not just school board members. There will be students there as well, specifically representing Cheltenham School District. So thanks for administration for making that happen. Congresswoman Madeline Dean will be at the event. There will be a press conference afterwards where students, legislators, and school board members as well are invited to attend at a school in Norristown. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Our administration actually sent a message out today to board members. If you haven't RSVP'd already, look out for a message from Ms. Harding to do that. And then our day on the Hill will be May 13th. There's also information, if you're available, to sign up for the day on the Hill. That's coming up on May 13th. Last but not least, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up, we also had some information presented to us around a program called the Voices for Education, which are high school students from around the county that are having opportunities to meet with legislators at various levels to do just that. What are the voices right from education? So it was again, encouraging in different ways to have our students still in the building tonight as well, but that's a growing conversation. They're going to have their own day on the Hill coming up in June, again, to talk about what legislation, what are ideas, solutions from their perspective that the folks in Harrisburg should be focused on. So a lot of opportunities for student engagement, some topics to track, especially around cyber charter reform and charter reform broadly for our district. But then again, as we go into June and make our own budget decisions, we're certainly call on our legislators to approve their budget, if possible, before ours as well. So that'll conclude the legislative report for tonight. We will meet as a committee next month.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. We'll now have the approval of minutes. We have 4 months of minutes here, January 29th, February 4th, March 11th, and March 18th. You have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. And then we'll move on to our agenda, our consent agenda. And so can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Daniel Schultz.
Second, Charles Burdell Williams.
Before we go to vote, any comments from the board? Dr. Whiting?
Thank you, Madam President. Very brief public comment. I want to acknowledge the number of teachers and staff who are engaging in ongoing professional development in the district. Teachers and staff are attending conferences to improve inclusion for students who speak other languages and students who have behavioral differences and needs. And I want to thank those teachers and staff for their commitment to their growth, and as a result, a commitment to equitable and inclusive learning environments for our students. So thank you for continuing your growth.
Mr. Schultz?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just first have to do what we often do, which is acknowledge this incredibly long list of volunteers. The updated policy, it works, I think. And I'm hoping I'll be on one of these soon. I wanted to briefly comment on something Ms. Lemon already mentioned, which was highlighting the policy 237 relating to student use of personal electronic devices. And during the policy committee meeting, it was clear in our discussion that this policy does allow for the types of changes that I think staff, community members, some students would like to see around rules in the buildings. And so while this policy does not have major language changes that create requirements, it does have space for those requirements to be put into place closer to the communities that would be directly impacted. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. In addition to that, though, I think in that discussion I felt a sense of urgency to, as a district, begin to concretely start to look into making those changes, maybe ideally even targeting fall of next year. And so that's just as one board member, something I observed in that meeting and wanted to mention it as we're passing this. So thank you.
I would just like to acknowledge the retirements that we have. We have Hope Monaghan, staff nurse at Cheltenham and Glenside Elementary for 22 years. Shelley Pullian, teacher at Elkins Park School for 33 years. Sarah Putterman, teacher at Cheltenham High School for 26 years. And Robin Balfour Austin, paraeducator at Cedarbrook Middle School for 19 years. So I just want to thank them for their commitment to the district and for all of the students that I know they've impacted. Some of the teachers had my children when they were in the district. And what do you? Where's it at? Oh, and that yes. I gotta go back here. Why can't I find it on mine? Here it is. That we're also recommending a change of assignment for Dr. Hammond from interim principal at Cheltenham High School to principal at Cheltenham High School. So that is very exciting, certainly for Dr. Hammond, but also for us. There we go. All right. Dr. Whiting?
I just want to acknowledge the passing of a staff member as well, Dorian Brewer, who's a building aide at Cedarbrook Middle School. Sorry to the family for that loss, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. A member of our community, sorry to see that.
Thank you. All right, we'll take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, the agenda is approved. Okay, we will move into our public comment on non-agenda items. If you're in the audience here in the auditorium, you can come up to the podium and state your name and where you reside in the district. If you are online, you can raise your hand and you will be unmuted. None? Okay. All right, our future meetings are as listed at the back of the agenda with all the meeting dates. Can I have a motion to end this meeting?
So moved, Ross Whiting.
Seconded, Robin Murphy.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The meeting is adjourned.